Sleep has never been kind to me. Most people hit the pillow and drift off within minutes. I've never had that luxury. For as long as I can remember, my nights have been a battleground. Night terrors that jolt me awake with my heart slamming against my ribs. Episodes where I wake up frozen, unable to move a single muscle, my brain fully conscious while my body plays dead. I've seen things crawling across my ceiling. I've seen shapes crouched in the corners of my room. I know what sleep paralysis looks like. I've lived it more times than I can count. But nothing, and I mean nothing, prepared me for what happened on that night. I was in my second year of college, and that particular week had been brutal. 3 exams, 2 papers, a group project that my team had basically handed over to me entirely. I hadn't slept properly in days. Not real sleep anyway. I was running on coffee and anxiety, the kind of exhaustion where your thoughts start blurring at the edges, and simple tasks feel like they're happening underwater. By the end of the week, I was barely a person anymore. I sat at my desk until almost 3 in the morning, grinding through the last of my assignments. My eyes kept closing on their own. I kept jerking myself awake, tapping my cheeks, getting up to splash cold water on my face, but I couldn't stop until it was done. When I finally hit submit on the last thing, I didn't even change my clothes. I walked to my bed and fell into it like a tree being cut down, out before I even settled. And then the dream started. I was in a school, but not any school I'd ever been to. The hallways stretched further than they should have, bending in directions that didn't follow any real architecture. The lights overhead were flickering, yellow, then dim, then yellow again, and I was walking, not running, just walking, but there was this low, steady pull of dread following me like a shadow, like something was behind me, always just out of sight. What was strange was the sound. Every few steps I could hear music, faint, tinny, the kind that comes from a small music box or an old wind-up toy. It drifted out from behind the closed classroom doors on either side of me as I passed them. I didn't open any of them. Something told me not to. But then the music stopped, and in the silence, I heard laughing. It was a child's laughter, high-pitched, bright, the kind of sound that should feel harmless. But in that place, in that flickering hallway that went on forever, it turned my blood cold. The worst part was I couldn't figure out where it was coming from. It seemed to echo from everywhere at once, from behind every door, from the ceiling, from inside the walls themselves. I started walking faster, then jogging. The hallway didn't end, door after door after door, and that laughter getting louder with every step. It wasn't playful anymore. It had shifted into something hollow, something wrong. Then I saw it at the end of the hall. One door, different from the rest. Dark, old wood, no window in it. The laughter was loudest now, pressing against the inside of my skull. I grabbed the handle. I pushed it open, and I woke up. My bedroom ceiling was above me. My room was dark. I could hear the faint noise of the street outside, a car passing, distant and ordinary. I thought everything was fine. Then I realized I couldn't move. Not a finger, not my lips, not my eyes, except to shift them slowly side to side. My body was completely locked. That familiar pressure settled onto my chest, heavy and total, like something had climbed on top of me and refused to move. I knew what this was. I told myself to stay calm. I had been here before. It always passed. But then I saw them. There were 4 of them, standing together in the center of my room, perfectly still. 2 adults and 2 children in front of them, all of them holding hands, all of them looking directly at me, and all of them were smiling. But the smiles were wrong. They were too wide, stretched far past what a human face should allow. The corners of their mouths pulled all the way up toward their ears. Their eyes were open but flat, and they were not blinking, none of them. I tried to scream. My throat tightened, but nothing came out. The pressure on my chest got heavier. I kept telling myself it was the paralysis, the hallucination, all in my head. But the detail, that's what shattered me. I could see the texture of their clothes. I could see the way the smaller child's hair fell across her forehead. These weren't shapeless shadows. They were vivid, solid, real. And they were getting closer. Not walking exactly, but growing. Those wide, unblinking smiles getting larger in my vision, the room feeling smaller, the air feeling thicker. The pressure on my chest was almost unbearable. I threw every ounce of whatever I had left into my right arm. It moved. Just enough. I grabbed the edge of my blanket and wrenched it aside, and the movement broke the lock. My whole body lurched upright. I grabbed the pillow beside me and hurled it toward the center of the room and screamed. The pillow hit the floor. They were gone. Nothing there, just my empty room and the echo of my own voice, and the sound of my own breathing going ragged in the dark. I sat on the edge of my bed for a long time. The lights from outside cut thin lines through my blinds across the floor. I checked every corner. I checked the closet. I told myself what I always told myself. It was over. It wasn't real. My exhausted brain had done what exhausted brains sometimes do. I saw my doctor the next morning and got new medication. Things settled down after that. The sleep paralysis came back sometimes. The nightmares too. But nothing like that night. Nothing even close. A few weeks later, I was cleaning my room and moved the chair in the corner to vacuum behind it. And there on the floor, in the exact spot where they had been standing, I found 4 small marks pressed into the dust on the hardwood. 2 large, 2 small, perfectly side by side. I told myself the dust must have settled strangely. I told myself there was a logical explanation for all of it. I got down on my hands and knees and stared at those marks for a long time. They were facing my bed. I swept them away. I haven't looked too closely at that corner of my room since. And every night when I turn out the light, I make sure, without letting myself think too hard about why, that I don't look at the center of the room. Some things are easier to survive if you don't look directly at them.